Hello and welcome. I'm Nathalie Ferrier, Higgins Art Gallery Director and Curator at the Cape Cod Community College. The Cape Cod Community College, that we also call 4Cs, is situated on the Wampanoag Nation's land. We give thanks and gratitude to the nation. Thank you for joining us today for a special moment with artist Alejandra Cuadra Sanchez. Alejandra is 4C's artist in residence this semester. She has already met and presented her work to many college students, and she's working with them on a community engagement project about the notion of belonging. But before we start, I would like to let you know that we will answer questions at the end of the presentation. So please type your questions using the Q&A function at the bottom right of your Zoom screen. And please feel free anytime to share your comments by using the Zoom chat during the event. I would like to invite you all to stop by Higgins Art Gallery to see with your own eyes Longing for Belonging, Alejandra Cuadra Sanchez multimedia exhibition. It will be on until October 28. The gallery is open Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and from 9:30 to 6, Wednesday afternoon from 3 to 6, and Friday from 9:30 to 3:30, and also by appointment. We would like to invite you also to an in-person reception with the artist on Tuesday, October 25th from 4 to 6:30 p.m. So I hope you can join us. And for any more info regarding this exhibition, you can visit the website gallery at www.capecod.edu/Higgins/. Now it's my great pleasure to introduce Alejandra Cuadra Sanchez. Alejandra is a multimedia artist living and working between Cape Cod and Boston. An interdisciplinary maker, Cuadra holds a BFA in sculpture and a minor in public engagement from Maine College of Art, and an associate degree from Cape Cod Community College. So I had the pleasure to meet Alejandra while she was studying at 4Cs. She took the fiber fashion art course that I teach every year and created powerful and moving works through the semester. Transplanted from a homeland of Peru, Alejandra can never forget where she came from and works to reclaim a sense of belonging within the United States. The exhibition, Longing for Belonging, contemplates the process of creating a sense of belonging and a place to call home. Embracing clay, wood, mixed media, and sensibility, she weaves, braids, and knots together her history, what was, what is, and what is to come. Feeling neither from here nor there, Cuadra reconnects with her roots in Peru, while acknowledging a duality. She seeks home beyond the barriers of belonging. She has attended residencies at Yale Norfolk School of Art, Monson Arts, and Watershed Center for Ceramic Arts. She continues a creative path in an apprenticeship with Steve Camp and Matthew Camp in Orleans, Massachusetts. During a residency at 4Cs, Alejandra has created a gathering space where people can explore their own identity and sense of community. She is leading a community engagement belonging project with 4C students and with the Barnstable High School art students. And every one of you is welcome. So there's still time to participate. Contact us for more info regarding that project. And now let's welcome Alejandra, and thank you all for tuning in.
Oh, okay. Thank you all for being here, and thank you, Natalie and the Cape Cod Community College, for inviting me back. Today I'm gonna be talking about my work and my life as and journey as an artist and a human in particular. I process a lot of the world through the notions of slowing down and through the rituals of creating. And I try to weave notions of home and identity, even within the politics and vulnerability. Throughout the years, I have used a lot of languages and vocabulary of metaphors and imagery to add and connect to the context of the word, including in this silk screen where I use the human heart as a way to represent an aspect that beats in all of us and lies within all of that and essential for living. So I am here as I am, learning to be my unapologetic and authentic self. I am a vessel of many accumulated experience that I've been so fortunate to pass. And within my work, I hope to connect to the physical and emotional and spiritual aspects of being. So I came here when I was 8 years old, and as I have not gone back home to Peru in now 21 years, I seek to always connect to where I come from through the notions of craft, and thinking about how to translate the rich culture of whether it be textiles or metalwork or ceramics within Peruvian history. As in the notion of translation is very important to me, as things are lost or things are added, and thinking in relationship to the inability to go back, but also my accessibility to different knowledge of materials or people as well. So as in the exhibition, I'm asking what it means to belong within the body and soul. And I'm still discovering that. And a lot of that self-discovery came in high school when I was in Amy Kendall's room, ceramics room at Nauset High. And there I was really captivated by that energy and that magic and the space that she created for us to show up and be as we are. And even though I did find myself frustrated the first semester when they threw on the wheel, there was something that grabbed me, and now I haven't let go. So I'm going to read this poem that I did when I was in high school, and it's called Earth Minerals, to talk a lot about my connection to ceramics, but also as the way of how I essentially gain a voice when I felt voiceless. So Earth Minerals. It's all in the feeling. When my finger grasps the clay, my mind goes blank, and my finger gets their own brains. My lips suddenly disappear from the existence of my face and end up in front of me, as if they're the ones talking about what's going on in my head. I guess I'm not a person of many words. I am a person of many thoughts. I can't speak my mind all the time, but when my hands travel through the clay, I can translate my thoughts, opinions, and state of mind into something that can be observed and heard. Yeah. So art was that place of belonging, of place of home, and also a place where I felt like I had a voice. And I gravitated working a lot with the physical form, and using notions of mark making as a way to process and heal and let go and look at the form beyond the physicality and to the spiritual and emotional aspects. Sorry, I do have a dog, so he will bark here and there. So in this piece that I created called Levantar, which is in the gallery at this moment, I created it after a friend passed away. And for me, I started thinking a lot about the fragility of life. And when we're faced with mortality, that question or that lesson keeps coming back in different ways. And I thought about the soul leaving the body for them, but also trying to feel like, how do I awaken my own body within my soul within my own physical body. And these are done in ceramics. So again, art is a way of reconnecting, releasing, and exhaling. Life throws us many different things, but through it all, I found I need to create ways of healing. And in this piece, La ausencia de tu presencia en mi corazón estarás, I created after slowing down and returning back to school and being faced with a lot of the emotions after the death of my grandfather. And I thought about the inability to go back and those barriers to me being unable to connect to him and say goodbye. But within that, breaking through the barriers and realizing and creating a space where I can acknowledge his existence lying within my heart. So I love to explore materials and how it can capture that essence of my being. And with this piece, Weightless and Weighted Down, I created a aluminum foot, which I casted, and then I used steel to help support. And then I dipped clothes that I found in the free bin that was just laying around for a while, and I dipped it in plaster, and it made it hold its form and shape, and then I spray painted it. I thought a lot about feeling the notion of weightless by the inability to control things, and also weighted down by all that we carry and that tension and dance and duality that lies within us in a way. Oh, I'm gonna catch my breath. So yeah, within this exhibition and within many aspects of life, I'm also constantly asking what it means to belong within community. I do find myself very privileged in different ways, and including in the place that I grew up, which is Cape Cod. And for a long time, after discovering my placement and my freedoms, limitations, and privileges within this country, I felt like I needed to stay quiet for a long time due to fear. But after reading a lot of stories and connecting to people through them, and I found their bravery and the resiliency to give me aspects of hope. So through their stories, storytelling became a big aspect of my practice, and hearing people speak up me planted that seed of trying to make my voice heard and not silence myself either. And I thought a lot about the uses of languages, of stereotype and alienation that were put onto immigrants, and how, in a way, it took the humanity out of us. And I use not only here in this piece created during my time at Four Cs in Sarah Ringler's class, I use the notion of I am human because I want to reclaim my humanity and reclaim the humanity of us as humans beyond any other label or stereotype. So I look a lot into history, and there has been a lot of reflections of alienation and separation and fear. And unfortunately, those things of the past still reside within this present moment. And I remember years ago listening to the story of George Takei in Fresh Air on NPR with my boss at the shop. And he talked about that when he was a child, he was wrenched from their home and then transported miles away and forced to live in camps. And I remember that resonated so deeply, and thinking of that forced displacement that continue to happen in different ways, and in perspective or in relative to my own relationship to hoping for the best but preparing for the worst. I took the notion of packing and always being ready for whatever's to come, and I packed it into a suitcase that carried the history of displacement, while also packing the narratives of many other DACA recipients. Through listening to their stories, I felt a sense of connection and a sense of I don't know them and they don't know me, but feeling like I got you and you got me, and that in itself implanting hope to keep going. So from there on, I felt a deeper need to speak up and not silence myself. And I remember reading an article of the artist Yori Minaya, and she brought the idea and the notions of hyper visibility and hyper invisibility, and herself being an immigrant, and that notions relating to me as an immigrant myself, because of thinking how much I make myself visible while trying to put a shield, because of not wanting that fear, that sweet dreams of somebody knocking on my door to come and physically displace me from my home. I also, that dance or that tension between visibility and invisibility lies in thinking of how much I have the right to speak up or question the realities or injustices that are going on, while acknowledging the privilege that I have of calling this home. So there's always a dance or a tension of wanting to protect freedoms within the limitations. And at times, even now, I still feel the fear kind of creeping in, but and at many times when I am at junctures, at a crossroads, and sitting on in uncertainty, I find ways of redefining my own identity beyond a document. And in here, I use the documents that DACA recipients fill out every 2 years and pay about $500 to the US government in order to have some relief, at least for the next 2 years. And then reconnect to Peru through the flowers, which is the cantuta flowers, which are used in the ritual of coming of age, and relating that resiliency and that bravery of them to the bravery and resiliency of immigrants at this time. So I present these questions or this reality not as a means because I think I have the answers or know the best way to solve the dynamic concept of immigration. I present this to find ways of connecting as humans and connecting to stories and connecting to realizing that we all seek that warmth, that shelter, the happiness. And I think how the artist Doris Salcedo talks about the power and limitations of art really resonates. And she says, I don't believe in image in and of itself reproduce, disperse, can stop violence. I don't think art has that ability. Art doesn't rescue. What art can do is create an emotional connection that communicates experiences. So for me, within working with spaces and working with different mediums, I seek to break down the barriers and find connection. So like in this piece and in other pieces, I use audio of media to put in a room and asking the question of what does it feel when 2,654 butterflies representing the children that were separated at the border mean. There in this project, I also use actual documents to represent that and showcase the actual language used by the government to re-question that notion that as immigrants, we hear a lot of getting in line to be legal, be safe in this country. So within different experiences, I have been very fortunate to be surrounded and learn about the power of community. In my last 2 years at Maine College of Art, and being in a really incredible, nurturing space within the sculpture department and having really incredible teachers in different spaces, I found that the need to connect even stronger. I also found the need to reclaim space so we can show up as ourselves to be really important, and how to put create space so we can just tell our stories and be real, be honest, and be there for one another. So I also learned to not ask for permission, but beg for forgiveness in terms of in asking so much, sometimes nothing gets done. So just through the help of people and the power and force of others around you, just making things happen for yourselves and for others. So another question I pose in this exhibition is what it means to belong within the valleys of Earth. I myself am just one drop in the ocean, as we all are. And I think about our relationship to this planet, and our Mother Nature, and what it means to be within the valleys of Earth, and what it means to create within aspects that are of the land too. So in that, I'm also thinking about what it means to be rooted, and taking a lot of like inspiration from Ana Mendieta or even Rafa Esperanza, who uses elements of nature and puts it back into predominantly white cube spaces or galleries. What does it mean to create space and open up space and then ground ourselves and then ground myself as a woman, as a Latina, as a person of color, and who's very vulnerable, and create space for myself and for others. I also think about the relationship of making nature be bigger than this intimate moments, enlarging it, creating those moments within ourselves, and how do we relate to them. Oh, okay. So I'm also working with natural and constructed objects and thinking about the relationship of not like what is around in the mass production and the nature, and how even thinking how those roots grow within the cracks of the cement. And with this piece, I wanted to connect to the notion that Bell Hooks brings up again in her book, and it talks about the notion of sense and sensibility to place. During this time after the pandemic, I spent a lot of time walking around, and so I capture a lot of phragmites and also roots that were uprooted after a storm, and then combined it with aluminum cans from beers to reflect to reflect and connect to the history of Peruvian jewelry. And I came a lot across the statement where Eni Kaplan talks about how Peru is the land of the sun, of the Inca, which is sun worshippers, the land of the gold, and it being the sweat of the sun, but it's also the land of silver, and it being represented in the tears of the moon. And in Como Cantan los Ríos de la Luna, I thought about that vulnerability and sensibility, and this notion of putting that armor as a woman, and to claim space and also connect to space and connect to nature. In this video, I gather a lot of places within Cape Cod around the water, and I'm capturing like little parts of this that really gravitated me, even the softness of the land and the place. And in this video, I'm asking my mom her own journeys and paths to how she got here, and acknowledging her journey, her sacrifices, her paths that paved way for myself and for my sister, as now myself is continue to figure out how to create my own path. As she's talking in Spanish, I am asking myself also in Spanish, how is it that I breathe? How is it that I keep going? And how is it, cómo es que camino, cómo es que me levanto, y cómo es que respiro, and how is it that I wake up? So in thinking a lot about journeys, I thought about a journey and legend that I remember reading a lot when I was younger. And it's the legend, La Leyenda de Mango Capa y Mama Ojo. And these are the two descendants of the sun god. And they were giving a sword to plant and create a new empire on fertile land. As they travel throughout Peru, they eventually landed in Machu Picchu. I recontextualized that notion in that story to trying to find my own sense of belonging and my own connection to place. And even being displaced, my heart being in two different places, I am rooting my foot, rooting my being to belong. And in here, I do see imagery of the butterflies, which represent migration, the heart that lies in all of us, and using the flowers to connect to La Virgen de Guadalupe. So she's not only a image or a reflection of hope for many immigrants as they travel up north. As a kid, I remember watching La Rosa de Guadalupe, a telenovela with my grandparents, and this deep belief in, through different hardships, that we'll be okay. And even though I don't consider myself religious, that deep belief in her really came to be when that honor too came to be when my grandmother, for her 80th year, she went to Mexico City to see La Virgen de Guadalupe. And that was the same year my mom was trying to make her way and her journey back to the States. So in the journeys and experiences, I also think about our relationship to the land and my own personal relationship. And in learning more, I found myself needing to slow down and really listen to Indigenous knowledge. And when I was up in Watershed creating the previous images, previous work shown, this quote really resonated of us having one bowl and one spoon that feeds us and nourishes us, and how are we thinking in a way of to leave enough for others and others' generation. So there's this something that I'm still exploring in different ways. But again, it takes that appreciation and knowledge and deep down meditative state with words of others. So yeah, this is where I'm at. I'm still investigating and learning from other what it means to belong with within my body, within my soul, within community, within the valleys of earth. I am figuring out also that and realizing that I can belong and I can exist as we all do and have the right to exist wherever we are and anywhere we are. And the inspiration for this exhibition came out of this statement by Bell Hooks, where she states that all aspects of life have revealed to me that treasures I was seeking were already mine. All my longing to belong, to find a culture of place, waiting for me to remember, and to reclaim. So in the image with the skeleton, it says, each day that goes by, I don't know what to feel. I think I want to go where I can live, breathe liberty, and it being in that realization of being, estoy aquí, I am here, and realizing that that can also exist within us through the help of others as well. And through the help of others and many different experiences, I'm finally learning to acknowledge that, yes, I am an artist and that's all I want to be. I still don't know what it will mean in different ways. But as my mentors at Camp Pottery, Steve, Linda, and Matt have said, have inspired me to learn how to live an inspirational life and think about slowing down and connecting to this earth, this world, others, and see what can happen. In slowing down with clay, I also found it to be a place where I can exhale and create a place also of healing and a place of not taking on so much of the heaviness in a way, because things are hard, but also trying to create intimacy and rituals in slowing down and being with myself and others. Not too long ago, there was a woman that came back after many years, as many people do, and she said something beautiful, how pieces become their best friends. And I think for me, learning to be a potter and being in the tradition that has been passed down and learning to use this language of this craft has allowed me to find ways of connecting with myself in different ways and with others, and allowing to even the act of sitting down together be a ritual instead of slowing down in comparison to how hectic things can be. And most recently, I have planted a lot of seeds of a lot of different ideas. I've been really this past month, I was in Rockland, Maine at the Ellis Solar Guard Foundation residency. And this has been a really crucial time for me to reconnect to my being, reconnect to as a human, as also as an artist, because I'm possessed now, and see what can happen and how to make things sustainable in different ways, and also how to honor and respect others and learn and relearn and even unlearn things. And in creating space for myself, how can I further create space for others? So with this, I say thank you for listening. Thank you for going along the journey. And thank you. Gracias a esta vida. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alejandra. I see a lot of comments in the chat. People who are super thankful that you are presenting your work today, and so they can see the new things you have been creating, and there are also some beautiful comments. Some are from Ariette Jerusha Korim, who says, "I love this series of photos on the railroad tracks, such a transcendence of control, and the radiance of these butterflies lifts the spirits of victims and observers of intimidation." And she also says that she's so grateful to be part of this community, celebrating Alejandra's visions and openness. And I think we have some questions. And the first one is from George Liu. And he says, "Thank you for the beautiful talk, Alejandra. I was wondering how you think about air, weightlessness, and empty space in your work, since these qualities seem to often quietly yet necessarily accompany your sense of earthy materiality."
Oh, wow. Yours. Thank you. All the questions, really great. How I think about air and weightlessness and empty space. I think I'm still figuring it out. When I asked in a project that I did with a friend and a dear collaborated, Ashley Page, we asked the question of what it means to be human and what it means to be them. And one of our professors at the time, Addie, she talked about how we all, no matter what barriers, she talked about that we all breathe the same air. And I think about that in terms of having the human heart beating in all of us, but also we are all breathing that air, and how to create or breathe into space so we can catch your breath, so we can leave room for more space, we can leave room for connection. I think I'm still trying. I don't know. I also haven't asked myself that question of weightlessness. I think about ways that quiet and soft moments can also be so loud too, in that profound way that it can reclaim earth and reclaim space and reclaim our own sense of belonging. I hope that I answered your question, George, and I also would love to talk more.
And so in the chat, we just got a comment from Sarah Ringler, who used to be your professor when you were at Four Seas. And he writes, so very proud of you and how wonderfully deep your journey is. Thanks for sharing your soul. And I think art can rescue you. Beautiful how your work has come together. It has been wonderful to see your growth and how very articulate you have expressed such a difficult story.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for a lot of things. I feel very grateful to be here due to many incredible mentors like her, like you, Natalie, like some of the incredible people that I've mentioned, and even to different friendships along the way. So yeah.
So we have a question now from Ariet Jerusha Korim. She says, I would love to hear more about the impact of your peers, teachers, and students on your work. So it's a little bit of what you just said. Any collaborations on the horizon?
Yeah, so I hope there's collaborations on the horizon. We'll see what happens. I'm just here, and I learn a lot about what it means to collaborate and like work with others through those actions. I do hope something will happen. I'm open, but also to trying to within balancing myself and in a healthy manner, so my energy can be sustainable. The impact of working, I wish I had the question, the impact of working with others and collaborators and peers, has been really important, because I think, there's that notion that within art, or being an artist, we create here within our own bubble, but stepping outside and hearing different perspective, or even hearing a perspective that we didn't know or weren't even aware of, or can be completely different than what we think. It's so important and crucial in trying to navigate to create further space for others. So I hope, Harriet, if you want to collaborate, I'm open. And
So I have some more questions. I have one from Bukola Koiki, who says, a beautiful series of works, Alejandra. Thank you for sharing. How do you think about the lineage of your work? Who are your artistic and activist ancestors, especially in conversation with the fight for immigration justice, borders, and belonging?
Thank you for that question. I think I'm still figuring that out. And I think I'm still learning about that lineage within every day. And I'm learning, from the strengths of other people. I talk about, because when there's times when I think I can speak, or I panic, or whatever it is that a lot of different peoples that I don't even know their names give me hope. There's a lot, I think we are times are changing. I feel like there's like this uprise and power and force to speak up, to not, I'm gonna say it, I guess, but nicely, not take any more BS. We don't have time for that. So I wish I could give you names and Bukola, but at this moment, I don't know. I'm still learning, and I don't want to also mispronounce somebody's name. And yeah, and I think you are also within my lineage of art and activists who have paved the way. So
we have another comment in the chat by Michael Holt from Truro, and Michael writes, I appreciate your humble acknowledgement of those who have helped you to create and also of your privileges. I am inspired by you to acknowledge that more when I present my own work. And we have another question from Susan Connors. She says, excellent presentation. I'm impressed by the variety of medias you use in your work. How do you choose among them?
yeah, I think there's many ways of, I mean, I started a lot with clay, and then I had accessibility to that, and then when I started at the community college, there wasn't clay, so I was fortunate enough to take other classes, so that's when I started like exploring my voice, and then I realized that I didn't want to silence my voice or limit my voice to one medium. So that's where, in a piece that I didn't show, but I did in another class, I started using wire and even bamboo and just prints, pictures that I took of myself. And then I investigated when I went to Mecca because of the incredible facilities. But now being outside of that, I think of materials due also to accessibility, to what is around and what can I use, and think about also as an immigrant. And when we came here, we wanted to cook those dishes, but we didn't have all the ingredients, but we still wanted to have that sense. And I think now as an artist, I use different materials to speak, but even though I don't have all of them accessible or at hand, so working with them, responding, and even going on walks and grabbing a lot of wood, like sticks, like driftwood around, and responding to it. And in another piece, I used like tarps because it was economically like accessible. But then I saw within a critique at school, I started thinking a lot about the history of materials and how the history of the material itself connect to the content of the work. I think it has to do with what I choose, with what is accessible, what is it that I'm trying to say, and playing around, giving myself the freedom to play around with different things, even if I don't know like the language or technique. Yeah, and letting that inner child be free. Yeah. There's another question that says, is it hard to kickstart an artist's career? Yeah, I feel like it's very hard. I'm still trying to figure that out. But like I said, I'm very stubborn in a way. And now I don't see any other way. I mean, I will continue to work and be flexible in different ways, but this is what I want to do. This is how I want to continue to live, and through living and being an artist and a creative maker. I don't know. I'm also trying to figure out what it means to be an artist outside of school. So how did I get my art into the gallery? Well, in particular, this gallery was through the connection that I had throughout the years with Natalie. she being a professor of mine, and also extending that invitation to this place, and being very open to allowing me to just show up with what I had and talking and discussing what we could do. I don't really show my work a lot. I think that's still something that I'm learning how to do. I think it's also like a balance, because it's hard to, like, I don't really want to sell some works. Some works are more for conversation or communication than for commerce. So it's hard to find the right space where I can just show up and be without having that I need to put a price tag. And I think I'm learning, like, I do enjoy making, I think the balance for me comes also with creating functional work, where it's nice when people have those pieces of me in their homes and I can feel okay in the need and the joy actually in letting go the certain pieces I make for myself. So.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Alejandra, for being with us today. It was a wonderful talk that you gave. And I just want to remind everybody about Tuesday, the 25th. We will have a special reception with Alejandra, and also we will show the community engagement project with the students from the high school, Barnstable High School and Four Seas. And whoever wants to create something, you still have time, so feel free to contact us. And I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Thank you so much for your questions. I have special thanks to our techs. So Vanna, Kendra, and Alex, thank you. And we couldn't have done it without you. I wish everyone a very nice evening.
Thank you, everybody.